Hello and welcome to post-match reaction to the Hurricanes versus the Bulls. It finished 35-28. Yep, just a try, or just a converted try in it for this one between the two sides. Really good game, close game that kept us on our toes the whole game. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best player story predictions and opinion. And joining me to go through all of the action is Steve from Cornflakes Crib. How you doing, sir?
Very, very good. Another nice night of finals rugby. It's good to see all the teams are lifting up, isn't it, for the next standard, you could call it, of Super Rugby.
Absolutely. I mean, these two we had a really good evening of footing between these two. Initially, this looks like being to me, kind of a Canes. The Canes sort of let the ball bounce. We had a silly forward pass by the Bulls. I mean, and they were playing that line all game from their scrum half onto the runners. But a couple of early errors, and you thought this could be a mistake-ridden game if we're not careful.
You thought it could have thought that, I guess, but I mean, it's two teams. They wanted to play, I guess, a similar style of rugby, and they were chancing their arms. They were looking to use elusive players and strong players in their backline, which they both had plenty of. And I guess it cleaned up a bit. But the Bulls, like someone said on Twitter, it's been the last month on a plane. So I guess, for that consideration, they've done pretty well.
They have done pretty well. And if you go and check out on drivingmaul.com, you'll see I've got an article on there that's a week in the life of a rugby player. And it's amazing how much of that week is taken up with just recovery. And you can't do that properly on an airplane, basically. And that's the big difference that this travel sort of factors in, is the recovery. It's not the fact that obviously by this stage they're as fit as they're going to be. It's not about adding fitness and training from that point of view. It's about lack of recovery from the last game. So we had that, but the Canes deep in the Bulls 22 get a penalty and they knock over an easy three. Do you think a bit surprised we were taking threes in this game? Because I mean, the Canes are sort of notorious for not kicking threes.
Well, yeah, I guess you could argue that point, but I mean, it's always going to come down to points on the board, isn't it? It's finals rugby. You can't, like they say in the commentary, there's no bonus points. There's no have another go next week. You've just got to get points on the board. They went down there, they got it fairly quickly, and they managed to put three over, and you go back and start again. You've got to take the points. It's what it's all about. And you've got to say, they'll look back and say, that was a good call, because it was close enough that could have really cost them if they had butchered it and it all fell apart.
True. The Bulls came straight back into it, though, straight off the line out from the exit. So we had basically restart, Kane's exit, line out on the first phase. Umaga Jensen gets his read wrong, which opens it up for Creel to make the break, who gives the ball to Gallant, who goes in the corner. And pretty set phase move, etc., but a bit too easy, that one, really.
Well, it shows the Bulls done their homework, hasn't it? Because they knew they were looking through certain passages. They pinpoint a lot of big runners through Beauden Barrett's channels throughout the match as well. But they really went for the inexperienced, I guess, weak link, you probably call him, in that back line in Umaga Jensen. So that was a target. He misread it a bit, and they only needed half a chance. And once they were in behind, they've got too much pace, too much talent to burn out there. And it was good night nurse from that situation. So great from the Bulls. I mean, Creel was a guy that certainly was the target for them to attack through. And if he can get those right channels, we know he's dangerous and he's strong. And it showed straight away that the Bulls were here to play and not just make up the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got to be, let's be honest, he's got to be in with a shout of Rugby World Cup action later this year as well. But you talk about Beauden Barrett's tackling there. I thought that he was trying to tackle too high tonight. When he's got big guys running down his channel, just do what Dan Carter does, which is just wrap your arms around the knees, bring them down, and fine. You lose the gain line, but who cares? You've brought the player down. Don't worry so much about the offloads and stuff. Let the big boys all worry about that side of things. Just put the player down. Don't get yourself hurt. Because there are a couple of ones where you thought, yeah, going into that height, mate, it's a big collision. And he's not going to be making dominant tackles, let's be honest.
he wasn't really putting his body too much into the tackle either, was he? There was quite a few that he was laying off and just grasping for a shirt or something, trying to slow them down enough for the back rows to come around and help him out. But I guess it's something he's going to have to get used to, isn't it? And he's going to have to step that up, because when the Springboks come knocking later on in the year, and I mean, take your pick, Georgians or Fijians, doesn't matter what they are, what colour shirt they're wearing, they're going to put the big boys through those channels as well. So he's going to have to sort that out, and it's a work on for him. I mean, no player's perfect. So even, World Player of the Year a couple of times, he's still got stuff to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Canes didn't let that dampen their enthusiasm. They came back. TJ Piranara scored after Emmanuel Jensen got on the outside, made up for his missed tackle a bit there. Gave the ball to Houston. Houston passes it back inside. TJ goes over, and Houston goes off with what we think is probably a hamstring strain.
Yeah, it was clever, wasn't it? It was a smart play from Wes Houston, and that's why I rate him as a player. He's not the biggest, but I mean, that doesn't matter anymore these days. But the way you seen him when he got that ball, he had that one defender, and he saw him spot where he had to go. It was so obvious that he knew exactly what he had to do: get around the outside, draw that player in, and he had 3-4 players in yellow shirts that could have just gobbled that up to score. Really smart. Good to see Umanga Jensen bounce back too after that, because a young guy could easily just go, "Oh, I've stuffed up, head down, try hide, not get in the play." But no, you're straight back into it. He started it all off, and just smart from Houston, and I really, really like that from him. Shame injured though. They'll miss him, but I mean, his replacement didn't do too bad, did he?
Raisi came on, and I made the point that this was going to be a big loss for them, because Raisi is not an experienced player. Only got one or two Super Rugby caps. Really is a rookie at this level. Attacking wise, he made me eat my words. Absolutely. Defensively though, I think he did get caught out a couple of times in situations, but we'll come across those later on. It did cause the shuffle to put Ben Lamb out on to the right hand side. And Raisi on the left, and that's probably the first time I've seen Ben Lamb on the right. He's very much he plays all his rugby on the left of the side of the park. The discipline then really was starting to hurt the Bulls. In this period, the Hurricanes hadn't given away any penalties at all, but it was giving the Canes territory, and Ben Lamb was the next one to bash over, picking out basically picked his gap between two players. About 10 metres out, and from there, if you don't get a good shoulder on someone the size of Ben Lamb, you're not going to stop him. And he went over, and then Raisi really, I say, made me eat my words. We had a very quick line out taken. TJ Piranara showing his nous, his cleverness, took the ball, kept himself in field. Raisi just picked the pick and go off the back of the ruck, and he wasn't looking around for any support or for or thinking about stepping any players. It was just pure pace, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good to see, wasn't it? You see so many times players these days, they don't back themselves. They look, they stop, they wait, which is all well and good in some situations. That was so good to see the guy just go, nope, there's only one place I'm going, and it's straight to that line, and he just absolutely gunned it. And showed great toe. I mean, he did outpace a couple of quick little defenders as well on him. But it was all created by the smarts, wasn't it, of the Barrett-Piranara combination. The Bulls were completely nowhere near set. They were just trundling their way across to a line-out. No intention of tackling anyone. And before they knew it, their whole defensive line, unstructured as it was all behind the play. And they were completely out of whack. They tried to scavenge it, but I mean, there was so much gap space around that breakdown. It was Rayasi just went straight through here. Good to see from him, and the confidence from the young man, and to boot it to that corner was nice as well. So good from him, and hopefully he doesn't lose that as well, because it's something you like to see.
It is something I like to see, and as I say, at this point, I mean, that the Hurricanes were tackling at 90%. They hadn't had. I mean, the Bulls had more of the ball. Sorry, but they hadn't been able to get anywhere with it. There was that one. Another one that that we saw was that actually the Hurricanes hadn't given away any penalties at all, which meant the Bulls weren't getting territory. At the next and that's really what where the Canes sort of started to slip here. It felt at 24-7, this game could be done and dusted if the Bulls didn't come and score next, but they did. Canes ill-disciplined player lying in the ruck kicks the ball out of the Bulls scrum half's hands, which gives them a penalty. Kicks the corner, and then they go from there to score. A score they shouldn't have been able to do, because Hendricks, a player we were talking about before we went live, he just bashed through two players and scored. A try he had no right to score.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that was no way he should have even got close to the line on that instance at all. It was a terrible pass. It was dribbling along the ground. He had to stop. He had to pick it up. Nothing was on. But the fact he just plants off that left foot, it just leaves defenders just sprawling all over the ground. Yeah, he's strong. He's quick. But that step, we've seen it a few times, is magnificent. The fact he can just leave guys completely wrong-footed of just one step like that as well. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing flash. It's just bang, and he's out of there. No room, no space. It's just remarkable. And I mean, yeah, terrible defense from the Hurricanes. Absolutely woeful defense. But take nothing away from Hendricks. That was just pure class, and it was amazing to watch how he can just stand a guy up like that, flat-footed, and just leave him for dust. Glorious stuff. And yeah, like I said, they needed. The Bulls really needed to hit that before half-time, because it was starting to look a little bit ominous for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And for a player who's had health problems and stuff, amazing to see. A fantastic story to see him come back and play such a big part in this. A couple of comments in the chat around the TMO, saying, can't believe he didn't check a Canes shoulder charge. Yeah, look, I think there are a number of instances in this game from both sides where there were shoulders left in, either blocking a kick chaser or getting or catching the kicker slightly late. I'm happy with what the TMO did from that point of view. Yeah, there's a few hits, but I don't think any of them were particularly nasty. I mean, Lamapi was put on the floor early in that second half as well. We've gone. You kind of.
It's referees. I mean, I've got to pick on it. I thought overall, yeah, it did go both ways. But man, he missed an absolute pile of stuff out there. 100% agree with the comment about Armour's tackle. That one where he just smashed that guy as a second player, was falling. It was a shoulder. It was straight to his head. I mean, if you thought Liam Squires was bad last night, that was way worse, way worse. And if that was a yellow, that's a red for mine, if you're going to be consistent. But it didn't always go against the Bulls, though. Right at the start, Jordy Barrett got taken out twice in the air, fielding a high kick. That's straight yellows, as it's been all season. They were missed. Forward passes were flying everywhere, but I mean, no one really cares about them anymore. But yeah, tackles, yeah, I think the Hurricanes definitely got away with that. Moore one was a shocker. He did another one later on that was probably a bit more marginal. But overall, yeah, there could have easily been a couple of reds and a handful of yellows in that matchup. If Angus Gardner was there, it would have been absolute carnage. We would have had a game of league out in the field. But yeah, shocking. I thought it was terrible, but both sides definitely guilty of giving away a lot. I mentioned on Twitter, do they not have post-match reviews anymore of this sort of stuff? Because, goodness me, the Canes will be depleted after this.
There is a citing commissioner. Yep, he can cite it. So we'll see if anything comes of anything comes of that. I'm gonna have to go away and rewatch that clearly, because I didn't catch it. But the other one that's going to be discussed is the wording that was used after that Hendricks try by the TMO as well, who said, unfortunately, there is nothing clear and obvious that I can see. Now, a lot of people are going, what? He was deliberately trying to find something to disallow the try? No. What I think he was actually saying was, unfortunately, there is no clear shot for me to give you a clear and obvious answer. I can't see what happened to tell you either way. I think that's what he's talking about, is there wasn't a clear camera shot, rather than there wasn't a clear reason why he could not, why he was trying to disallow the try. So I think people need to be a little bit more, people were wanting to be outraged there, for my mind, and deliberately looking for something to be outraged about.
Yeah, he's got to be careful about that, doesn't he, really? I mean, I think that the fact of the matter is he actually stopped play to pull it back for that as well, to have a look. So, yeah, it looks really bad. It looked really bad. I hope there was nothing. Well, you would hope there was nothing intended by it at all. But yeah, it's just not what you want to hear, is it? No.
No,
Unfortunately,
not really.
I couldn't find anything there. But if you give me 5 more minutes, maybe I could.
So we went into half time, 10-point lead for the Canes, and as I say, the discipline had been a big thing for the Canes at this point. They just basically hadn't given for the Bulls have got the best line out in the competition. They got some big boys in there. They got a good rolling maul. Driving maul we saw there. They dominated the scrum tonight. So there's a lot of by keeping it away from those kicks to the sidelines. The Hurricanes were doing a good job in that first half. Second half, though, they gave away a few more penalties, and that gave the Bulls a few more opportunities.
Yeah, and that's all they needed, isn't it? I mean, there was a big factor why they got a good little head of steam up in that second half. But you play into their hands. You see, there was a clear tactic of what they were trying to do earlier on, but it did fall a little bit wayward. I think they almost got a little bit shocked, or not shocked, rattled is probably a little better word. Probably thought they were cruising, and then the boat started to shake, and they needed the calm head to settle it down. But there wasn't really anyone too much there apart from the one man and number 7 jumper, probably.
Yeah, I know who was flipping between 7 and 8 depending on who was putting in at the scrum, and he always goes 8 when it's the Canes put in, but 7 when it's the opposition put in. So he was flipping around, and he had a really good game tonight. But Raisi had a hand in the next score as well, got his arms free out wide, which allowed the Canes to score it wide. But that was from a kick that Pollard hadn't claimed, and that was a real mess up here. We had a few kicks that weren't claimed, and on the whole, both sides got lucky in that it sort of bounced in someone's hands and they got away with it. But this time Pollard wasn't lucky, and Raisi went into the corner. Nice of the commentator to mention how wonderful Barrett had been kicking up until that point.
Oh, it was an absolute curse, wasn't it? About how Christian Cullen, what is he thinking? New Zealand fans haven't need to be worried now about the concerns with Beauden Barrett's kicking. And then I don't think I've seen quite such an absolute shocker in quite some time out of off his boot. It wasn't even close.
No.
It was terrible. It was like he heard it and just like, no, I'll fix you, Mr. Cullen, and then screwed it out wide. But yeah, in that try, though, the offloading was fantastic, wasn't it? The support play around the place, keeping the ball alive, brilliant. And that was a big creation of that to keep it alive for that time.
Yeah, and whilst the stats say that both sides won 100% of their scrums, the Hurricanes scrum was often going backwards when they were getting the ball out, which meant there was no platform for Ardie Savea to run off the back. That wasn't the case for Dwayne Vermeulen, though, who went really close to a try penalty straight in front. The Bulls, obviously at 29-14, there's no point kicking threes. They set the scrum. The Hurricane scrum going backwards at a rate of knots. Vermeulen comes off, but just short there.
I was going to say that lucky of the wording of the referee on that one too. The fact that he said it was no try and he went to the TMO. If he said there was a try, on-field try, that would have been a try because the TMO saw nothing. So that was all down to the on-field call on that one, which I think Canes got lucky on, to be honest.
They did, but it was under penalty advantage, and from that came the penalty try. So they got the 7 points anyway soon afterwards. And it was Raisi who put his arm out, knocked the ball down. Hendrick's try had been on Raisi's wing as well. And this is what I'm saying, that Raisi, had a really good game with ball in hand, but defensively, he got caught out occasionally. And I say he went and spent 10 minutes in the bin. From that, 54 minutes, Beauden Barrett tries a drop goal.
It's World Cup preparation, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Well, actually, I think he deliberately missed that, or was happy to see it missed, because it was the penalty. It was under penalty advantage, very kickable penalty. you know what, I'll take a drop goal that's missing. That winds the clock down a bit more. I'll then go and, or Geordie actually will be given the honour of knocking over the 3 points to make it 32-21. And basically 5 minutes had disappeared. I mean, something like a minute had disappeared off the yellow card before they'd even restarted the game, which was, I'm not quite sure when the clock starts.
That first 5 minutes went by like a flash, didn't it? It's like, I thought, oh, goodness me, he's coming back on the field before the Bulls even get to touch the ball. But, boy, the first 5 minutes went by a flash, but the second five, for a Hurricanes fan, went by like a year. It took an age to go by, didn't it, as well?
It did, and the Bulls managed to get themselves a try. So, which Pollard converted. Pollard was perfect from the tee tonight. So it was a 3-7 score while he was off the pitch. That again was Hendricks down Racey's wing, where Racey should have been. Crossfield kick from Pollard, and Hendricks goes in the corner, who hands off Geordie Barrett, I think, on the way in as well. Yeah, Geordie, a bit of a mixed game tonight defensively.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough ass, wasn't it? I mean, we saw what Hendricks do earlier in the game, and he did the same thing. Probably it was easier for him because he only had one guy to really beat, and Geordie Barrett had no chance. It was quiet night for Geordie, but I guess probably wasn't caught into too much action. He was decent under the high ball, so covered that sort of stuff really well. But yeah, I don't think anyone was stopping Cornell Hendricks going in for that try. That step is just lethal. It's amazingly lethal.
That got the Bulls within 5 points. Now, the first time that they only led for 4 minutes during the first half, so they were always chasing this game, which meant we weren't going to see kicked penalties from Pollard. There were some really good hands in that in that piece. Geordie then also took three after that to make it 35-28. Gave them a 7-point margin, which meant it could have been a draw. And in that last 10 minutes, both the Hurricanes pounded away at the Bulls line, only for the Bulls to march straight down the pitch to the other end, off a couple of penalties, to pound away at the Hurricanes line. It was lots of action, but no reward in that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, and everyone was getting excited, weren't they? Oh, extra time. It's a chance we could have extra time and be a draw. I mean, I can understand that. There's been a lot of draws this season in Super Rugby as well. So when you always get that 7-point buffer for the leading team, it always makes you go, ooh, this could be an interesting finish as well. And for a quarterfinal, what a time to do it would have been. But yeah, they both bashed down. It's amazing. We had so many highlights in that first 70 minutes or even 68 or so minutes. And then it really just... defense just went up another notch, didn't it? And neither side could really finish what they were trying. They sort of tried to do something different away from what they've been doing in the game to try and make that different play to break down that defense, and it just wasn't working. Neither side could really create from that, and it kind of just, it's rough to say it petered out, but it really did in a way. It was high action and a high tempo, but neither side could really get within that chance of doing that finishing punch.
Yep. And obviously the Bulls needed that 7 points. They couldn't go for a drop goal or anything like that, which is kind of their forte. Or having Pollard in your team means that's always an option there for you. Finished off, the Hurricanes had to put in a big defensive shift. 89% tackling, really well tonight. The Bulls, not so good, down at 79%. Missed quite a few there. And also the Bulls, the other area that they're not going to be happy with is their turnovers. 17 turnovers for them, 12 by the Hurricanes. Both Vermeulen and Artie Surveyor having some fun at the breakdown. Yeah,
two big lads, aren't they? They're massive boys, and they're a menace at the breakdown. It's great to see Dane Vermeulen actually getting back to that impactful level that we know he's capable of, back in Super Rugby again. Artie Surveyor, though, he's just a machine. And the Hurricanes have a lot to owe him after what he's performed, not just tonight, but throughout this whole season. He's been a class above. But that Bulls pack, they were no slouches. And what they can offer certainly will trouble and has troubled the best of the sides throughout the competition. So they really were up to the task and just not quite clinical enough, I guess you could say, come the finish.
Yep. Looking at the attacking stats for the Hurricanes, amazingly enough, Princip actually topped with the number of carries for the Hurricanes. Only 12 carries for 13 metres. Didn't go very far, but but definitely tried his hardest there. Perhaps one of the guys who does part of that unseen work in that side. Odi Surveyor and TJ Piranara are the two top, both with 10 carries, with 51 and 87 meters respectively. They were the top guys in this one. Lamapi, another quiet game from him. He's been having quite a few quiet games recently.
Yeah, not his biggest impactful match at all, but I mean, he did get involved, had a lot of stabs at it, had a lot of goes, and I thought this could have been a game where he might have had a bit of an impact being up against Kotze, who probably isn't, he's the odd one out in that back line, isn't he? A bit like Umanga Jensen was for the Hurricanes. When you go through, you got Pollard, Speckman, Creel, Hendricks, Gallant. Those guys are all Springbok sort of level players. That was a real area through that 12 channel, and neither of them really did anything, did they? Neither Lamape or Kotze were very effective throughout the matchup. So quiet nights, but he's a big game player, isn't he? And I think the longer this competition goes on for the Canes, the more you should see him getting involved.
Now, there's some interesting tackle stats, and this comes from about what we talked about earlier. Lots of people sent down Beauden Barrett's channel. Beauden Barrett, 8 tackles, 1 missed, or 8 made, 1 missed. Laumapi, 0 tackles made, 1 missed. Nobody went down his channel. So hey, defensively you could say he worked he just stood there and everyone just ran away from him. But Beauden Barrett, 8 guys. The guy next to him, none. I mean, that is just pretty crazy. As you'd expect, the back three. Walker, Laurie, Princip, and Hardy Surveyor also were the main guys in the pack there, with 10, 8, and 8 tackles there as well. But yeah, amazing to see Beauden Barrett getting quite so much action. Flipping that over to look at the Bulls on attack. Obviously, we've got Hendricks with his 4 defenders beaten and 3 clean breaks from his 4 runs, 3 clean breaks and 4 defenders beaten. That's just crazy stats from him, obviously getting those scores. Steinman, also another guy who, especially in the first half, and Staden, both of those two, getting their arms free as well to get the offloads. Some real nice play from those two.
Yeah, well, that's what you come to expect from this Bulls team, isn't it? Those guys, along with Steinman, another one who's very explosive through the tackle and getting the arms free. Those back 5, if you call them that, are very good at that sort of play, and they do create the channels for players, and that's normally where they're most dangerous. But probably say that wasn't their most productive night in those sort of channels, but there's certainly a threat, and you've got to watch them. And they're strong, they're big, and they are dangerous.
Yeah, and Gallant also got through quite a bit of work, 77 metres for 9 runs. He also had a decent game tonight because he scored the opening try of the game. Defensively, Simon again, 9 tackles, 1 missed in there. Vermeulen, 7 tackles, none missed. So yes, they got through. Unfortunately for them, it was that some of the boys in the back division didn't really stand up and do their piece. Kotze, 4 tackles made, 4 missed.
Oh no.
Speckman, 1 tackle made, 3 missed. So, yeah, a couple of the boys in the back there really needed to step up. Speckman's not known for his defensive work. Let's be honest; it's more for his playing 7s and free running. Which, to be fair to Husson and then Ben Lam later on, he was pretty much kept under control.
Yeah, poor old Speckman. He was probably dreading this game, knowing that he had to go up. He's probably happy, I should say, that he was going up against Wes Husson and not Ben Lam. And then when they swapped wings, it's probably his greatest nightmare just come about. He's got to come up against this big thundering lump of a winger. So he was quiet. He was very quiet. It was a bit of a shame. He normally combines really well with Pollard, with the kicks and plays like that. Those two normally combine really, really nicely. Didn't see that too much. Hendricks was the target man for most of that sort of play. So he was a bit left out to dry, but you got to factor in the way that they targeted the yellow card period, and then having the inexperienced winger as well, which is where they really went for it, is probably the direction that they went with on that. But yeah, I mean, 4 missed tackles is not your greatest night at the office, is it?
No, it's not at all. So yes, that's That's all I was going to talk about from this game. Any final comments?
No, not a huge amount of final comments really, apart from the fact that it was good to see that the Bulls actually did come and achieve what they probably set out to do, what they promised all season, coming to New Zealand, actually putting in a decent matchup. It's a good team. I've talked about in the past, but the South African sides get a raw deal when they come here to New Zealand because people don't watch them when they're in South Africa. So they don't really know what to expect. And historically, they come here and they perform really poorly. But I think they've earned a lot of respect this year, not only the Bulls, but a lot of other South African teams, the Hug Warriors as well, involved in there. They've come over and actually stood up, come into our backyard here in New Zealand and actually performed. And I mean, Canes fans would have been biting off the nails here at the end passage when the fact this could have gone overtime. And you've got a sharpshooter like Pollard sitting there in the pocket. It was always a dangerous place for them to be at. So I'm really pleased that the Bulls come out. Really pleased with guys like Hendricks who are just those iconic sort of players, and Lealiafano and guys like that to come back to the game, come back to this level. Dave Vermeulen as well. These old guys stepping up for the South African franchise. It's great to see. And it's a good match, and we've seen 3 matches now that have been highly competitive, and that's what you want to see from finals rugby.
It is, and so what's the finals? The semi-finals taking shape now. So next Saturday it'll be Crusaders versus the Hurricanes. I will be at the Great Australian Beer Festival, the GABS, up in Auckland. So I won't actually be able to watch it live, I don't think. But and the other one is going to be the Jaguares hosting either the Brumbies or the Sharks. That is no Sharks. Yes, it's Sharks.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Sorry, I had such a late night last week. I keep thinking that the Stormers won for some reason. I don't know why, but hey, there we go. Both begin with S. Easy to confuse. So Brumbies Sharks about to kick off in around about 10 minutes. So go and enjoy that game and find out who the final semi-finalist is going to be. Are we going to have an Australian or a South African team travelling all the way over to Argentina for that final game? Go check that out. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining me. And don't forget, people, go check out Cornflakes Crib on Twitter and YouTube. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe. That's going to be up there on the recording, or you hit that red thing down below. And also down below, there is a link to patreon.com/DrivingMaul. That's how you can support the channel and help you bring all this free content, but also get access to exclusive opinion videos as well.